dear friends, click on the like button, that is the thumbs up button, press the subscribe button and the bell icon, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram.
Hi guys, and welcome to another vlog. I am riding this bike, the second generation Duke 390, and well, it retains the madness of the first generation model, but yes, it is slower than before. And in today's video I'm going to be telling you all about it and a bit of a long-term perspective of this motorcycle. You can see it has a lot of punchy performance. I'm happy to say that the ride quality is better than before thanks to the updated suspension system, and this bike still pulls madly. I mean, it is so stable thanks to the additional weight. Now it has become heavier, it has got a slew of updates. Now the engine has been retained, it's the same 373.2cc motor, produces around 44 horsepower, but torque output has increased to 37 newton meters. The heating has been managed better now on this motorcycle, so it doesn't heat up as much as before, so definitely an improvement on that front. But the fan is very loud. It gets ride by wire throttle, which makes the throttle response even more crispier, but somehow it's lost the charm of the old bike. The old bike was absolutely mad. This one, not quite so. I mean, it feels refined, it feels in its senses when you throttle it out. The other one did not. The other one, the old one, it just wanted to rush to the red line. This one doesn't rev up as fast, it doesn't scare you silly, it doesn't want to power wheelie. It's just refined and smooth and better insulated. Vibrations are lesser too. The mirrors, they don't offer a great view of what's behind, especially with the riding jacket on. And somehow I feel that the Duke 390 has lost its charm. I mean, I can feel vibes on the foot pegs. Obviously the old bike also had a lot of vibes, but this one somehow, it doesn't have the punch kick in the pants feel. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is still pretty quick. I mean, it still does it around the same time, which is 5.7 seconds or so, and top speed is around 165 kilometers per hour. Now this motorcycle, which has been ridden for 8,000 kilometers, has had its slew of faults. So firstly, the coolant mixed up with the engine oil, and that was an issue. Then, to make matters worse, the rear tire burst, and KTM refused to, honor warranty. They said that the tires have been tested by the Indian government, we are not at fault, and stuff like that. So not the most reliable machine, and obviously the headlight issues and the console issues are also there on this bike, which have been resolved in the 2018 edition. Now it's in neutral, but it's not showing it. KTM, you really need to learn a bit from TVS. The gearbox on the Apache RR310 is just fantastic. This key has been shifted here closer to the rider. Earlier it was ahead. This tank, well, it gets evap system, so due to heat, fuel doesn't evaporate from here. Bigger tank, 13.4 liters, and the mileage from this bike, well, the owner, he's getting around 20 to 21 kilometers per liter, which isn't great. Well, my bike gives around 24 kilometers per liter. Switch gear has been carried over, but has this crazy buttons to go through this console. But forget everything for a moment, let's go flat out. The sound of this bike is better. It doesn't sound like a rickshaw thanks to the side mounted exhaust. So let's give it the beans, shall we? Redlining in each and every gear. First gear 52, second 74, third 102. Well, 153 kilometers per hour. I kid you not, on my Duke 390 I do 172 every time on this stretch without a fuss. Well, obviously performance has dulled down a bit in lieu for mileage and refinement, and in that sense this motorcycle does feel more refined than before. The tires, they are inferior on this bike, the same ones, but speed rating has been reduced. So while KTM has made this motorcycle more practical for both city riding and usability thanks to a bigger tank, better suspension system, better sound, less heating, they've kind of robbed away the character of this motorcycle. It doesn't have the rawness, the edginess of the old model, which kind of felt like, okay, forget everything, just let me go flat out and fly on the roads. This one feels a bit on the heavier side. It isn't the most what I would like to say as nimble. Handling, like I said, is good now. See, now in neutral it's showing the light, otherwise it's not. So quality levels, although improved, still have a lot to be desired from. And let me quickly do a walk around of this motorcycle since we have stopped here. As you can see, these rims, same ones as before, but I think they are wider now. Exhaust sounds really nice. The trellis frame, now it gets a split subframe for easier repair, and the WP monoshock, inverted forks up front, ABS brakes, better brakes. Definitely that's the biggest and the best thing I like about this bike is the better brakes. New design language. The tank looks nice. This is the highlight. These 14 LEDs like really lit up the road very well. And why are people staring at me? They should make an overbridge here for people to cross. People keep crossing here. Performance should have been better. They should have raised the power, which obviously they cannot do because there's a problem. Now this is for A2 license holders, and if they bump the power, this bike will no longer be for A2 license holders, and that can be an issue. Now, like I told you, brakes are very nice, much improvement. Obviously it gets ABS, it gets a slipper clutch, and the ABS is switchable. So you know, there's a supermoto mode wherein the rear ABS turns off and you can go all out sliding. So that's a nice touch on this motorcycle. But honestly, where will you do this? This is not a supermoto motorcycle. This isn't a motorcycle you would go and ride on the, you know, on a dirt track, because it's not meant for that. Tires of a good grip, not the same level of grip as on the older 390s Metzellers. And overall, I feel that while this motorcycle has become more practical and usable, somehow it's lost its charm. Now this motorcycle gets adjustable levers, and the levers feel much better than before. Ride-by-wire throttle, like in terms of features, ton of them. The handlebar is closer to the rider, so you get that confidence of, you know, nimble handling in the city. And these forks are so good that, you know, going in the future they might even have electronic forks. Now you can go through this cluster. It is an insane unit. It has so many things. You can play music, it has Bluetooth connectivity, it connects via Bluetooth to your phone, so you can change tracks, you can take calls. Very loaded console. I mean, I think I made a 2-minute video on this in the Motorbeam video of the 390, which is I think 10 minutes. 2 minutes is only for the console, so you know, I've linked it up. You can just see that. There's just too much to talk about the console. Contactless switches, so one touch start. There is no headlight switch because it has got AHO. So a wonderful motorcycle in terms of practicality, definitely. But honestly, how can KTM cut costs and give you a bike which has ton of issues at this price point? Can you hear the fan? Well, it is awfully loud. And let me get out of the music system. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Well, the clutch, the gearbox just did not shift. Gear shifts are good, yeah, but somehow not that slick. I mean, it misses gears, and after riding the RR, I'm like, okay, Indian motorcycles can have better gears for sure. A better gearbox, I mean. And this signal isn't working. There's a lot of wind blast on this motorcycle. Wind protection is not there at all. And somehow I start to miss the Apache RR 310 because that windscreen, well, the aerodynamic test in motorcycle has excellent wind protection. See, I'll tell you something. This is a fantastic motorcycle, but the one I'm riding is a white colored one. So this is from the first batch. Now, first batch motorcycles do have certain issues, but KTM has constantly done that. I mean, how can the cluster have issues? How can the headlight have issues? But they do. And that's kind of ridiculous. Overall, the feel of the motorcycle is good. From being hard-edged and being outright all about being performance, this motorcycle is now become practical. Heating has reduced still. It is kind of making a tandoori of my thighs. The fan is extremely loud. It sounds better. So should you buy one? Well, for 2.7 lakh rupees, this certainly is one of the best motorcycles you can buy today. If your budget is under 3 lakh rupees. Of course, there's also the Apache RR310. There's the RC390, which is similar to this, but this one has more features. But the RC offers better wind protection and better handling as well. So if I had to pick one, I would still pick the Duke 390, because at the end of the day, I love the performance. I love the Street Fighter looks, how it can be ridden everywhere. Like, you can take it for touring. Obviously, on the highways, there's a lot of wind blast. Like right now, you can see, you can hear a lot of the wind. The big positive about KTM is, of course, the fact that it has a huge service network in India. Spares are easy to get, service is easy to do, and that's what really makes this motorcycle easy to own and practical. And if TVS can do the same, or if BMW can also give us a good distribution network, then I will obviously be switching sides. Till then, it's the Duke 390 for me. What a motorcycle for those looking out for performance and practicality on a budget. Imagine saying practicality on the old Duke 390. Well, that was not possible, but on this one it is. It just kind of dies after 145 kilometers per hour. It just doesn't want to go ahead. I mean, it's just like, okay, enough, I'm done, thank you very much. Now, kind of chill. I'm anyways going to have a lot of wind blast to contend with. The good thing about Street Fighter motorcycles is if you're riding at say 140, 150 kilometers per hour, you don't have to worry about applying brakes. Just kind of stand boldly there, and yeah, the wind will kind of stop you and bring you from say 140 to 70 easily. On the Duke 390, when I used to do 170 kilometers per hour, all I do is I just kind of stand straight, and I'm bang on at 70 kilometers per hour. The riding position continues to be a little awkward. The foot peg positioning too is a bit awkward, but it isn't the most comfortable, yet it isn't the most training, I would say. I mean, it is almost sort of a comfy motorcycle for short distances, decently comfortable for longer distances, and if you want to do even longer distances, well, I wouldn't recommend doing it till you get some hold of this motorcycle or get practice of riding on this motorcycle. So there is no shift light, only thing is the gear position indicator that blinks, and the cluster changes colors, which is also a nice touch. You get all the usual bits you get on the old Duke 390, and the console, like I told you, there's so much to talk about. There's no point of me talking about it right now. But here comes a problem. Every Duke 390 owner is like, अरे मस्त बाइक बनाइए, क्या क्या फीचर्स दिए, काश मेरी बाइक में ये सब होता. Then they go out to take a test and like, अरे क्या बे, it's slower now. What's the point of me buying this bike when it's slower, right? And that's the reason why old 390 Duke owners will not really upgrade to this one, because I mean, lesser performance, why pay more money to become slower? Yeah, for the headlight, no. For the instrument cluster, maybe. Ride by wire, slipper clutch, alrighty. But nah, I'm happy with my old bike. I'm happy with my old Duke 390. So guys, this is my video of the new Duke 390. Many of you requested me to get a hold of it. So one of the subscribers of Motorbeam, Neeraj, he was happy to lend me his motorcycle. So thank you, Neeraj, for this. And if you like this video, you know what you have to do. Give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next one real soon. Bye bye.